Yo, how y'all doing today? I just wanted to make this video real quick, you know what I'm saying? I was just thinking about something. I was watching a YouTube video, eating breakfast, eating an orange, you know what I'm saying? A nice orange. You gotta get your nutrition. And I heard it's basically they were doing a review on a movie, and then there was a part in the movie that showed a stereotype about like a white kid talking to his mom crazy. And then one of the guys said that because he's dated like white girls, and he was raised like around a lot of white people, like in an area, Conyers, I think, somewhere in the South, with a lot of white people. And he said that that stereotype is very accurate, and he's seen it for himself. White kids talking to their mothers like they're crazy. Just talking to them crazy. And so it basically just set off a train of thought that the first thing it reminded me of is when I was in middle school. I used to be the class clown. You know what I'm saying? So this is gonna be just a tad bit of story time. And you know okay, so I forgot to mention another thing. I've kind of, I do believe, what I'm saying, that some mothers, not all mothers, but, some white mothers is what I meant to say, don't discipline their children enough. So, because I do know that some white mothers don't believe in like whooping their children. I've seen that. I've seen an example of that, for myself, in the past. So, and I just do believe it. So that kind of made me think of when I was in middle school and how I used to be the class clown. And, I didn't take school seriously. I wasn't, focused on getting good grades. And I was kind of, my grades weren't the worst, but they weren't the best. So what happened was, I got some phone calls home and from teachers, and my aunt, it really, pissed her off pretty much, I guess. And she whooped me. She whooped me with an extension cord. And that was the worst whooping I ever had in my life. But the thing is, I pretty much needed it, because afterwards, like after she whooped me, I became an angel. You know what I'm saying? I became an angel. I was retired from being a class clown. You know what I'm saying? I hung up my clown suit. You know what I'm saying? I hung it up. Matter of fact, I didn't hang it up. I took it and I burnt it. You know what I'm saying? For all eternity. You know what I'm saying? So, I became an angel after that. My grades got better. I started taking school seriously. I stopped, just acting like a complete fool. And it also kind of made me think about like just the seriousness of grade school, basically, when you're a kid, before you turn 18. Because there was like a few different times where I had got bad grades. Now, when I got into high school, I don't really know. I'm trying to remember and think of like what made me, because I had to turn it around. Like when my aunt whooped me when I was in middle school, that made me, turn it around, but just for middle school. Once I got into high school, I didn't get whoopings anymore. But I'm trying to think of what made me. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what made me turn it around. But I'm thinking maybe that whooping, from when I was a kid, still kind of, left an impression on me that lasted throughout, most of my teenage years. Well, I mean, regardless of that, that's not really the point. that's just kind of, me starting to set the tone, for the topic of this video and the main point. So yeah, there was a couple of times I had to turn it around again in high school, but I'm glad, I'm glad that I actually made it through, you know what I'm saying, and graduated because, yeah, and pretty much it just gets to the point of this video, which is like the seriousness of graduating high school and getting your diploma. Not everybody needs to go to college, you know what I'm saying, especially nowadays. And honestly, I think I think a lot of young people need to really start thinking for themselves. They need to stop letting society and their parents and their family think for you. Stop letting everybody think for you. Think for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they'll just encourage you to go to college. But nowadays, if you're not trying to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something that for sure, like you have to go to college for, you should not go to college. You should not rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, just for like, just because you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Because a lot of people about half of the people that go to college when they're young, like 18, 19, 20, they don't even know what they want to do. It's like, you need to know that first. Before you go into college, you need to know what you want to do first. Because nowadays, for a lot of things, you don't need college. You can just go to a trade school. Like if you want to be an electrician or a plumber, you can just go to a trade school. If you want to be something else, maybe you want to be a musician. You could go to college for that, but you don't entirely need to all the time. But my point is, not every career path requires college nowadays. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many other ways you can educate yourself nowadays. There's YouTube, tons of stuff on here. You can learn tons of stuff on here. You can buy books. You can take courses, you know what I'm saying, online. There's so many other different ways that you can avoid, racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. You know what I'm saying? So you need to really think for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if you ain't trying to become a doctor or a lawyer, you need to really second guess college. You know what I'm saying? But you don't need to second guess graduating high school. You don't need to second guess that. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to second guess that. You need to freaking get your butt through high school and graduate, man. Because most jobs will require, or at least most entry level jobs, for when you're young, like fresh out of high school, or at that age, 18, 19, 20, 21, early 20s, they're going to require that you have a high school diploma. So it's like, you need to freaking, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to get that. I don't know if I'm ever going to have kids, but I do know that it might be a part of my purpose to teach kids, when I, eventually, I don't know exactly when in my life, but I do know that could very well be a part of my purpose. So hopefully, what I'm saying, there's somebody at least very young watching this. And even though I did graduate high school, I still wish, what I'm saying, somebody could have told me, when I was still in high school. I wish an adult could have really sat down and told me what I'm about to tell you right now, which is, just like how I said, you seriously need to freaking graduate and get your diploma. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you don't need to go to college afterwards. You don't need to worry about that. But you need to get through this high school. You know what I'm saying? Like no excuses. It don't matter what you're going through. It don't matter if you're getting bullied. It don't matter if you feel like you're a social outcast. It don't matter. You need to freaking get through high school. Cause like if you don't, you know what I'm saying, have a high school diploma when you're a young adult and you drop out, your life might be hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in your young adult years, it might be hell. And you might, you know, and especially if you're black, like you're a young black man, you might end up in jail or dead, honestly. And I'm just being straight up honest with you. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, most jobs, for young adults fresh out of high school, you need to have, you know, your diploma. Even years after high school. Because another thing I wanted to say was the job I have right now and that I've been having for like the past couple years, longest I've ever had a job, it required a high school diploma. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the best job, but it's a good job for me. You know what I'm saying? There we go. Perfect statement. It's a good job for me right now. Like it don't pay the highest, and it's not good. It's not really good for me like long term for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? At least not the company I'm with, but it's still good for me for right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm very grateful for it. You know what I'm saying? It has a lot of freedom. It has a lot of stability. It provides me with a lot of stability. And best of all, they have a position called PRN where I dang near get to create my own schedule. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a very nice aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I tell other people, they go, oh, that's pretty cool. So yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't have none of this. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have this apartment I've been living in for a couple years, by on my own. You know, and a lot of other things that I have, I wouldn't have it. You know what I'm saying? And I probably would be on the streets right now. You know what I'm saying? Like living and hustling. You know what I'm saying? Like on the streets, not doing good things. You know what I'm saying? Cause I dropped out of college. Like I went to college, but I dropped out. But I didn't drop out of high school because when I was in high school, I thought about it. You know what I'm saying? And I struggled, but thank God, you know what I'm saying? I turned it around. You know what I'm saying? I had to do it twice, but I turned it around and I made it through. Cause I had to go to summer school. You know what I'm saying? One year, I got like dang near straight F's one year. You know what I'm saying? So, but I turned it around twice and I made it. You know what I'm saying? I made it. Yeah. So get your diploma, man. Get your diploma.